Right now at 4, a boost for kids. We're following new developments in the effort to get children a third dose of the COVID vaccine.
Back on the stand, the new questions actress Amber Heard faced in court today about fights with her former husband, Johnny Depp.
Warming up, sunny and 70s today, but we're tracking temperatures soaring into the 90s.
NBC 10 breaking news.
We begin with breaking news about one of the candidates on this election day. Pennsylvania's current Lieutenant Governor, John Fetterman, is having surgery. Doctors are putting a pacemaker with a defibrillator into his heart. Fetterman's campaign says today's procedure will regulate his heart rate and rhythm after he had a stroke on Friday. The Democrat is on the ballot today, running for U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania. The news comes as people head to the polls for primary day in Pennsylvania. Voters are deciding 2 key races, choosing candidates for governor and United States Senator. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. I'm Tracy Davidson.
And I'm Jacqueline London. Pennsylvania is a swing state in American politics, so people across the country will be watching to see who voters choose today. In the race for governor, Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro announced he has COVID and is now quarantining at home. He is the lone Democrat in the race. A sharp contrast from the Republican side, which is down to 7 candidates now.
The other big race today is one for Pennsylvania's open Senate seat. Current Republican Senator Pat Toomey is retiring, and there is a crowded field to replace him. On the Republican side, 7 candidates. Kathy Barnett is surging ahead. She hopes to overtake Dr. Mehmet Oz. David McCormick is also a leader in the crowded field. As for the Democrats, there are 4 people on the ballot: State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, Congressman Connor Lamb, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, and Alex Khalil. NBC 10 cameras were with many of the candidates as they cast their ballots at polling places across the state earlier today.
NBC 10's Lauren Makes has been talking to these candidates and to voters for months now. She joins us live from our newsroom and our wall of candidates. Lauren.
Yeah, Jacqueline, we have been using this wall as sort of an old school way to keep track of the candidates because there simply were so many of them during the primary. This list, though, this is going to get a lot shorter after the primary results roll in. And today, voters are deciding who moves on to the general election.
Primary election day in Pennsylvania bringing some tough choices for voters.
It's hard to make a choice right now, but I'm doing my best.
Voters are deciding who will go head-to-head in November to become Pennsylvania's next governor and senator. And for some voters, it came down to the wire.
Today's time for a dose of reality. Campaign Eve edition.
In an Election Eve event, Senate candidate Mehmet Oz won over some voters in Montgomery County last night.
I wasn't sure, but I'm sure now.
What convinced you tonight?
He said the things that I wanted to hear and that I was questioning. For instance, pro-life.
But this voter still had a decision ahead.
You've got your candidate now for Senate. Do you have your candidate for governor yet? No, not yet.
No, I'm still not sure.
She wasn't alone.
Have you made your choice for governor as well?
No, not yet.
Especially on the Republican side, voters have a lot of candidates to choose from. And President Trump's endorsement was a factor for some in their choice.
I am going to go with the instincts of Donald J. Trump.
But not all.
It didn't influence me because I look at the person.
Voters on both sides of the aisle also coming with their own issues that matter to them.
Crime, gas, and the economy, immigration.
And sometimes thinking strategy.
You have 2 more progressive candidates and 1 more centrist candidate. And I am worried that we're going to split the progressive vote and then we're going to end up with a moderate that nobody actually wants.
If voters have not made their decisions, they have a few more hours to make up their minds till the polls close at 8 p.m. tonight.
And to make things even more confusing for Republican voters, when they looked at their ballots today, they actually saw 9 candidates on it, but 2 of them here had already dropped out and endorsed someone else, so they weren't really actively running. There just was a lot for folks to keep track of this year. Now, we caught up with some of the candidates as they were at the polling sites voting themselves today, and we'll have more on that coming up at 5 o'clock. And we'll hear from a local candidate about who he was thinking about today. Guys, back to you.
We know you're watching every single development as it happens, up to when the polls close and beyond. Lauren, thank you. We'll see you later. The Philadelphia District Attorney's Office activated its election task force today. That task force monitors voting problems and possible violations at the polls. Today, DA Larry Krasner said they had some early complaints over campaigners getting closer than the 10 feet distance required from the polling booths. He said they're also on the lookout for more serious voting issues.
We need to always be vigilant in case there are people who seem to believe they represent a new branch of the U.S. military, threatening people, intimidating people, being violent, anything of that sort.
Here's the number to report any voting or polling place problems to the DA. It's 215-686-9641, 215-686-9641. The polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. As long as you're in line by 8, you can vote. That's also the deadline to turn in your mail-in ballot. You have to drop it off at your county election office by 8 p.m. for it to count. There are drop boxes spread out across the state if you still need to send yours in, but make sure you check the pickup time. At this point, do not mail it. As the results come in this evening, watch NBC 10's exclusive DigiCast starting at 9 o'clock. Political reporter Lauren Make, who you just saw, will anchor our election coverage. You can find it on NBC10.com and the NBC 10 app. And if you have a smart TV, check out our app on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
Now, young voters in Pennsylvania helped push President Biden over the top in 2020, but it's unclear if millennials and Gen Z will show up and vote during this election cycle. The research center at Tufts University found young voters played disproportionately large roles in deciding 2020 races in both Pennsylvania and Georgia.
When there are young people supporting a candidate, 20 points more likely to support one candidate over another, that is a significant number of votes.
Voters under the age of 30 in Pennsylvania had a 54% turnout rate, which is higher than the national average. You can learn more about the push to turn out younger vote and what it means for the closely watched races in our area right now on LX. You can find it over the air on channel 10.3 and Xfinity channels 235 and 1169.
Now to the race to vaccinate. The FDA is giving the green light to COVID-19 booster shots for healthy kids ages 5 to 11. Health officials are hoping this will increase their protection as cases of the virus start to increase again. The third